Realer than real.
Hello, everyone out there in TV land. You look so gorgeous. It's been so long. Double kiss on the cheeks. How are you, my dear? It's been 10 years if it's been a day. Well, truthfully, it's been 10 years if it's been a month, which is about how long I've gone without posting an episode, and I am so sorry. Emma told me to stop apologizing when I go MIA, but I just feel the need to be apologetic because I feel like for me, not only do I like go without posting, but I for some reason, like I also like just suck at updating my like social media channels. But in my mind, it's like for the most part, it's people that follow me or know me, and for the most part, those people know if I'm busy or not. But I gotta start committing to the bit. I gotta start posting on my like different social media channels for like my podcast and being like, hey guys, so many people have been asking me where I've been. And like, it's not so many people. It's just like my uncle being like, oh, you didn't post in a while. Like, what's going on with you? But I got to really start committing to the bit of being that content creator because you know what? Truthfully, we can call it delusion, but it's truly just active manifestation. And I'm telling y'all right now, I've actively manifested something. I don't want to say it because now it's going to make me sound like a hater and make me sound like I'm crazy. Okay, I'm going to just say it actually because this is the Realer Than Real podcast and we can be realer than real with each other. Back a while, that didn't make any sense. A while ago, a while ago, I saw Blink Twice in theaters, which is Zoe Kravitz's movie starring her then fiance, Channing Tatum. And first of all, it was a phenomenal movie. It was a really good thriller kind of movie. Definitely some sensitive topics in there. I think it got mixed reviews because I think people felt like the subject matter, I think because of who was playing the bad guys, glorified it. I don't want to spoil it because the subject matter is kind of like the whole plot twist of the movie in a way. But some people felt like she was glorifying it, Zoe Kravitz, in creating that movie and creating this role specifically for Channing Tatum, who is, well liked, all this stuff. I just realized I haven't done my intro yet. That's me rewinding. Let's rewind it and bring it back. He's, she's, gays, theys, baddies, and daddies. Welcome back to the Realer Than Real podcast. I am your host, and apparently your friend who likes to just dive right in and get to yapping, Shamira. Sometimes in this world we keep things real. We can keep things very real, but on this podcast right here, we keep things realer than real. And I was just getting ready to keep it real with y'all. Anyway, so the movie was great, right? And it reignited my love for Channing Tatum. And I going into that movie, I already thought that him and Zoe Kravitz broke up. I thought I read that before. Anyway, today, the day that I'm filming this, which is October 29th, I've seen several headlines today that have said, reportedly, allegedly, that they've broken off their engagement. Now, when I saw the movie a few months back, I remember I put out on my spam account and I was like, yeah, I'm going to need them to separate because I need him. And now, I'm not saying I've manifested it because I don't want to make it seem like I hate love. I actually thought they were a really cute couple. And I hope that it's not irreconcilable differences and that they can make it work, I guess. But I'm just saying, you guys, I love love. I love him though. Give him to me now. But like I was saying, I need to start actively manifesting that life for me. You know what I'm saying? I got to really commit to the bit. I'm always talking about, I think literally my bio on Instagram is serial bit committer, but I have not been committing to the bit of the busy content creator. So now, and the only way I can think of how to do it is to be insufferable. Not in a way that's like cringe where y'all don't want to support me, but in a way that's like, oh, she has created the fantasy and she's fully living for the fantasy. How could I not support that? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to be. But anyway, let's just dive right into the topics. That's actually not what I wanted to talk about today. Where's my phone? Where's my device? Speaking of committing to the bit, I asked my tens of thousands followers on Instagram. No, but I did ask my followers on Instagram, if you're not following the podcast on Instagram, what is your problem? What's your issue? What's your beef with me? Do you want to fight? Did you want to fight about it? Come outside, girl. We're not going to jump you. Did you want to fight? No, but if you want to fight, we can fight. But if you're not following the podcast on Instagram, then, like, do it. do it. I don't know if it's. Why do I think that bullying is going to work? Please, please, please follow the podcast on Instagram and on TikTok if it would not be at any slight inconvenience to you at all. Thanks. Love you so much, Pookie. I asked people on Instagram, what is your boomer complaint? So for those of you who don't know, a boomer complaint is a complaint that someone has about something current in society, whether it's a different societal norm. Maybe you're complaining about a younger generation than that of yourself. But it's a complaint that you have that makes you feel like you're getting old, makes you feel like you're jaded, makes you feel like, when did this world get itself in such a big damn hurry? Because I just been thinking that I have a lot of them recently. Like, I just kind of feel like I've become a little cranky person sometimes. I don't like loud noise. I don't like bright lights. Certain smells just irritate me, which some of y'all are going to say, friend, I think that might be the tism. And it could be that as well. But it could also, I just feel like I'm angry, not angry all the time, but I just feel like, I am my perception of what old people is, which is sometimes old people just be like cranky and just quick to irritation. And sometimes I feel that for myself, like it takes very little to piss me off nowadays. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm becoming old. Like, this is the first step of becoming old. It's the little things that piss me off. And it's also the little things that make me happy. I love to stay at home with a nice blanket. Don't let me have a show to watch on a Friday night. I know we love going out. She should be at the club for real. I know that. But sometimes it's the simplicities. But anyway, so I asked some of my followers on Instagram, what are some of their boomer complaints? And that is what we're going to go through today. And we're going to chit chat about some of them. When I first posted the question on my Instagram, I gave an example of what a boomer complaint would look like. And I said that one of my biggest boomer complaints is that when restaurants don't have physical menus and they tell you to scan their QR code. And a few people agree with that. So let's talk about that. Yeah, bring me back my menus. I need a physical menu. And let me not say need. I want a physical menu though. That's part of the experience. I really truly feel like a lot of things post-COVID are an experience again. That's why movie theaters have collectible buckets, right? That's why when people go to concerts now, you're not just going to a concert, like you're buying a whole outfit, like it becomes an entire thing. People want experiences. So even if it's something just as simple as going to like a diner, a new funky fresh diner that just opened up in your town, don't you dare tell me there's a code on the table for me to scan. Give me a menu. It's all about the experience. It really is. And I'm not being nitpicky. I don't think I'm being crazy. I want a menu. I want a physical menu. Even if it's like a little paper menu, I'll take that. But I want something to hold. I don't want to look at my phone the entire time, which I'm always on my phone. So it's not necessarily a problem for me. But in that same regard, I just want to be able to like actually look at something. I'm telling you what, people talk about Cheesecake Factory and how extensive their menu is. One thing about them, I promise you, they're never getting rid of them. Now watch tomorrow, I wake up and I see a headline that says Cheesecake Factory to phase out their menus and to move to QR codes. That'll be my 13th reason. I will not stand for that. I love a physical menu. I need something to hold. I like something to look through. I like something to flip back and forth. There's just a bit of theater. There's a bit of a theatrical nature when it comes to a physical menu that I appreciate. So I get it. I get it. The next one. Movies are too goddamn long. What happened to a tight 90 minutes? Oh, bitch. I agree. What is going on now? I understand that some movies are masterpieces, right? And they need time. I get that and I can respect that. Because you know what? I also understand if you're not trying to make a sequel, if you have one thing you want to say as a director, producer, writer, whatever, script, whatever, right? You have one thing you want to say and you're going to get it done within this block of time. I respect it. In that same regard, figure out how to do it in under 2 hours or I'm walking out. They're just too long. I really do feel like realistically, anything over 2.5 hours, even if the movie is good, I'm going to kind of be like, damn, like we had to keep this scene. This scene couldn't have been like in the director's cut or something. I remember when I saw Avatar, like the most recent one. I lied to y'all not. Was that not 4 hours? Hold on. Because I remember sitting in the theater and I fully enjoyed that movie. I thought it was great. I'm not really like into the whole Avatar series, but I think as a as a concept, and I mean everything else. I think it's really amazing. But hold on, I'm gonna look at the, what was it called? Okay, yeah, Way of Water. Show me the runtime. Don't be afraid. Show me the runtime. 192 minutes. Is that not 7 hours? How long is that? That is just over 3 hours. You don't need a movie to be 3 hours. Even if it is the Avatar. James Cameron, come to the front. Come to the front right now. Could you not have said that in like maybe an hour and a half? I'm joking. It was just so long. And even though I was enjoying it, like I love Zoe Saldana in that movie. The monologue that she gives about, okay, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but the monologue she gives about like a son for a son, ooh, girl, I got chills. And that, the funeral scene, oh girl, I believe I was bawling. I believe I had the Kleenex in my hand. That being said, that movie was so long. I remember because I went to see it with my boyfriend and his family, and I'm sitting there and I'm enjoying it. And I didn't know if I was going to be into it at all because, like I said, I really wasn't like a big fan of that franchise, but I was totally into it. But there were some moments where I took myself out of it and I'm like, I've been sitting here for a little bit now, and I would like to not be. So when are we putting a bow on this and wrapping it up? Movies are too long. We don't, like this person said, a tight 90 minutes. Please, please. Let's see what's next. I hate not ever being able to talk to a person when I call an organization or a company. If that ain't the gospel truth, and I'm going to tell you this right now, I feel like this was something I used to give my mom shit for when she'd be like, I want to talk to a person. I'm like, oh, just see if you can do it online, blah, blah, blah. The only reason I would ever pick up a phone to speak to someone is if the thing cannot be done online, if the thing cannot be done in the app. So if I'm calling you, if I'm picking up my phone with my pretty little dainty hands to call you, baby, you better get me a human on the other line, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I'm not playing around with y'all. Oh, some of these companies, Verizon, you one of the main ones, baby, actually. Let me talk to you. Come to the front. Verizon makes it so hard for you to get a person on the line sometimes. It drives me crazy. Like the back and forth that I have to have with that automated assistant takes years off my life, truly, because get me a person. Get me a person now. Give me a person now, please. Like, oh, I hate it. I hate it. And something else Verizon does, and I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. If it's user error, then my bad. Y'all do this thing sometimes where you say, like, you put in your phone number, right? And it'll text you a code. And you tap the link for that code. And then it hangs up on you. So now I have to start my entire process over again. Verizon. Now look, I'm a loyal customer. I've been with Verizon for a very long time. I don't want y'all shutting off my stuff. But I'm going to just say this. If y'all don't fix it soon, please, I'm going to lose my mind. Yeah, I hate that. Like, literally, and you know who actually is even worse of it? I find that sometimes a lot with, like, government websites, like, yeah, any type of, like, government website, it's, like, oh, you know what's even worse? I'm actually going to add on to this. When you call in and they have what feels like a 5-hour monologue of different directions on the phone, this is mainly with, like, government websites, and it'll say, like, oh, if you're calling to do this, you can do this on our website. And it gives you like a full like list of instructions and every number on the keypad. If you hit this and you can talk to this department to do this. And I hate it. Or it's like, please listen to all of the options before making your selection. No, I don't want to because I don't have an extra hour to spend on the phone just listening to directions. Sometimes, man, like, and this is the thing. No one that is like a younger millennial or a Gen Z, we're not clamoring to make phone calls. But then there are some times when I need to make a phone call and it's worse. Like, it's worse. Because I don't even necessarily have anxieties about making phone calls. I just don't ever feel like it. So the times when I have to actually sit down on the phone, I need it to be quick, easy, efficient. And sometimes it's none of those things. Oh, frustrating. kids should not be exposed to adult media, music, i.e., like music, TikTok, and YouTube. This could be a hot take. But I have to say that I don't disagree with this, honestly. I think about all the time how, like, people around my age, my generation, we joke about, like, oh, I had no business singing this song at my young age. And it'll be a song like My Neck, My Back by Kia. Y'all know the one. All you ladies pop, yo, like this. Shake your body, don't stop, no, man. All the ladies pop, yo, like this. Shake your body, don't stop, no, man. Just do it, hey, do it, hey. Do it, do it, do it now. Lick it good. Like this, like, it's kind of a banger, though. I'm not gonna lie, it hits. It hits. In that same regard, though. But the fact that that song was, like, readily available to me and other people my age at such a young age is kind of concerning, no? Like, it's just a tad bit concerning. Like, I do think that as a society, we need to do a better job at, like, protecting kids. I also think about, what was that website? It was a video chatting, not Uvu, not Sky, Omegle. Oh, girl. I think this might be, like, one of the only times, like, when I think about inappropriate music that I used to listen to growing up, like, you know, things crazy, like My Neck, My Back, right? But even just, like, more tame things, like, I'm trying to think of another song that was, like, semi-inappropriate. I can't. Freak a League by Petey Pablo. That's, like, the second song I thought of. But, like, music is one thing. If you have children right now, or you're planning on having children soon, especially when you're having kids in this internet age, I think about, and if you hear that tapping in the back, that is my ice maker. I don't know how loud it is. I can hear it pretty clearly. So I don't know if it's, like, picking up on the mic, but no one's trying to, like, get into my apartment. We're all good. So for those of you who don't know, Omegle was a video chatting website where you could just connect, and if you had a camera, you would turn on your webcam, and it's basically like a chat roulette. And you would just get cycled through, and you would chat with different people. And sometimes it'd be, like, really chill, and you're just chatting with, you know, a kid that's, like, around your age who might live in, like, South Dakota, and, you know, I live in Baltimore, so it was, like, kind of cool. More often than not on Omegle, this is actually kind of sick and twisted now that I think about it. More often than not, when you would turn on that camera and you would turn on that chat roulette function and you cycle through, if 5 people come up, like, not at one time, but, like, if 5 people come up on chat roulette, I guarantee you that 4 of those people will be grown men exposing themselves to whoever's on the other end. And there's no way, like, I don't know. I don't want to stop it because I feel like if I go on Omegle, it'll stop my recording. Maybe besides, like, are you over 21, check yes or no option, there's no way for Omegle to know if someone should actually be on that website, which, to be fair, with most websites, aside from, like, you know, putting in your ID information, like your state ID information, there's no way that they can actually verify that you're old enough. People lie about their ages all the time. You know what I'm saying? But, so, I mean, and I'm not saying it's Omegle's fault. Like, they created a platform. People are going to use that platform however they want. That's human nature, right? To just, you know, someone creates something, they put it out there in the world. It can be interpreted or used how people want to use it. But yeah, no, I think about that often because I'm like, there was no way in middle school that, like, me and my friends are like, let's go on the computer, let's go on Omegle, let's see if we can find any hot guys. And we're just seeing, like, grown man after grown man exposing themselves to whoever. But they know who they want to see on the other end. Like, the whole thing is gross. The whole thing is disgusting. And I promise you, I swear on everything that I love, whenever I get into my mother era, whenever I enter my motherhood era, I'm not gonna I just want to be very aware of what my kid is doing online, because that to me is like almost kind of scary that I was able to like access that so readily. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't disagree with this comment. I think that we should be like monitoring the media that our kids take in, because the media that you take in as a youth does shape you in a lot of ways. Yeah, so I don't disagree with this at all. And I think that the reason that this feels like a boomer take is because there are people out there who, you know, will say like, oh, it's the internet, and, you know, like, don't be a helicopter parent, or like, you know, people will make up a lot of excuses whenever people say like, oh, like, for example, when someone posts like something weird on TikTok, you know, and it's something like very sexually like explicit, and someone will comment like, oh, this is a kids app or whatever, and someone's like, oh, it's not a kids app, like there are adults on here, and kids shouldn't be following me and things like that. Yeah, like kids shouldn't be following you, but like they are, and they're gonna see this because, again, that's the way the app is like created. It'll filter whatever, but there's a personal responsibility, I think, on parents to make sure that they're aware of what their kids are watching. But I think it's a responsibility on us as, you know, people who put things on the internet to be aware that like a young impressionable kids could see this, and what effect would that have on them. And maybe that's too much of a moral weight for some people to have on themselves, but I don't think so. Like I don't do as much on my podcast page, which I've thought about doing for a little bit, but like on my YouTube channel, I bleep out all of my like swears and stuff. That's the least I can do, right? I do say that my content isn't made for kids, but like at the very least, I'm going to bleep out my swears. I'm also not doing anything wildly inappropriate on social media. So I agree with this. I actually think this is a really good point. Let's see what else. The glasses that you can talk to. Wait, can I read? The glasses that you can talk to Google or Alexa with. I'm not Tony Stark. Off. Yeah, there's a part of me, there's like two sides of me, right? And there's one side of me that's like, I love technological advances. I think it's so cool what we can do, you know, when we like create you know, sky's the limit and we can create fun things with technology. On the other hand, I'm just kind of like, do we not have enough? Are we not entertained? Like, what? That loser Elon Musk, and yeah, I said it, I'll call him a loser, and I say it again, you're a loser and you're a weirdo, and you're a loser and you're a weirdo. And you're a loser and you're a weirdo. Anyway, did I mention he was a loser and a weirdo? Okay, I'm done. He made these robots, and like, yeah, sure. You're like, oh, you know, we can live in our Jetsons fantasy, and we can all have our robots or whatever. But like, what do we need a robot for? I just feel like we have enough technology. We have the phone, we have the laptop. I got the Lexi back there. I don't want to say her name because I don't want to activate her. But we have the Lexi, we have the smart lights. Are we not done with technology? What if we like start investing some of that ingenuity into things that already exist? Like just recently, one of my friends, shout out Camila, because I know she listens. Hi, Camila. She went out Friday night and her phone just stopped working. Now, why is that? Now, like, what is that about? What if we, instead of like inventing newer things, we just worked on making our current things better, right? Is that like crazy to me? And maybe that is what inventing newer things is. Or things are. No, maybe that is what inventing newer things is. Yes. It's like, you know, there's no way to fix this first product, so I'm going to take what I did from this product and make it a little bit better with this one. It is going to be a completely new product, and you are going to have to buy a new charger cord, and you won't be able to use certain headphones with it, but it's better than the last. And if that's the case, then that's the case. But sometimes I do feel like we're cranking out technology at what feels like a scary rate. And I'm at the point now with life where I think about the amount of waste that's being created. And also, I'm going to be this person. I'm going to be the friend that's too woke here. But the amount of unethical sourcing for a lot of the technology. You got to think about that kind of stuff. And you have to think about sometimes, is it truly worth it? Is it worth it to have this robot, which I'm sorry, it's life size. I don't need nothing life size in this apartment. The other day, I don't know what it was. It had to have been my own shadow. Y'all know I live alone, right? Out of the corner of my eye, I swear there was someone in here. Stop. And now I just got so scared saying that. Stop. I can literally see my entire apartment like this, but I made myself scared. But like, No, like I just cannot imagine the idea of me having like a robot in a studio apartment. I think is hilarious in and of itself, but I don't need nothing life size. I don't need a life size machine, especially a life size human like machine walking around my house but not paying my bills. Are you kidding me? No, thank you. Let's see what else. Another thing about technology or related to technology, I don't want or need everything to be a smart device. I agree, and I'll tell you why. Somewhat recently, there was a situation in downtown Baltimore where there was like this big explosion and it ended up knocking out Wi-Fi in my area, but also like in a lot of areas around. And we didn't have Wi-Fi for like 2 or 3 days. It felt like an entire year to me, but apparently it was only 2 or 3 days. And in that time, I could not use my two lovely lights you see behind me. Obviously, I couldn't use like, my computer and whatnot. Couldn't use my TV. Couldn't use my Lexi. What else could I not use? I think that was it. And I was just like, this is miserable. And the thing that sucked about it, so the main thing for me is that I struggle to wake up on time. Like I'm actually terribly bad at waking up on time. So for me, I have a perfect little system. I have my Lexi with my alarms set and it gets nice and loud because I need something basically blaring to get me up. And even then, I'll be honest, sometimes it still doesn't work, but I have to set multiple alarms, right? So I have my Lexi go off in the morning. I also have it connected to my lights, right? So my lights turn on about 5 minutes before I have to wake up. So the idea there is that like when I crack open my eyes to turn off my alarm, the light will be so blinding that it'll wake me up. It'll make me open my eyes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I struggled to get up those few days because I didn't have my system with me and I couldn't use anything because it all needed electricity. But that's actually the thing that really gagged me. Could I still use my lights? No, I couldn't even use my lights. I could not use them, you guys. Luckily, I have other sources of light in here, so I wasn't like sitting in the dark. And thank God I didn't have to turn on this big light up here because this big light sucks. But like, I was just like, this is so stupid. Like I can't use anything in here, which is like such a 21st century problem. Because then it's also like, well, why would you buy a bunch of smart devices? Like, but it's not my fault. We've built this infrastructure that relies on Wi-Fi, that relies on you having a what's the word I'm thinking of? Hello, my mind is blanking. A reliable connection source at home. And so when it doesn't happen, it's annoying. And we've built a society that wants you to prioritize convenience. So that's why I have smart lights. And that's why I have a smart TV. And that's why I have a home assistant named Lexi. She won't let me call her Lexi. It's actually really annoying. And all of a sudden now this whole infrastructure is taken down because of something that happened. Now, granted, that something that happened was a pretty big deal. And I understand why it took them so long to get it back up. But it was just so annoying. Yeah, I agree. And then people have like smart fridges and smart, like, why do you have an app for your toaster? Because you have a smart toaster, right? Why do you have a smart toaster? Will a regular toaster not do? Like, I do feel like the things that I have in my home that are smart devices are like regular things, but some of us, y'all have gone too far. And you know what? To a point, I'm not even gonna lie. If you got it, flaunt it. If you got the money to buy a smart fridge and a smart toaster and a smart this and a smart that and everything is just genius in your home. In the words of Beyonce, if you got it, flaunt it. Boy, I know you want it. While I turn up down you, watch me check up on it. Ooh, you watching me shake it. I can see you in your face. Can't take it, it's blazing. Watch me in amazement. Okay, anyway. If you got the money, flaunt it. I can't even be mad. Me personally, though, I'm getting sick of it. So yeah, I will be mad. Let's see. This one's a two-parter. I'm genuinely sick of people recording other people for the sake of going viral. Like, not everything needs to be recorded. Sometimes it's okay to leave people alone. And I'd have to agree. I mean, and I pretty much said everything here. I do think, especially when it comes to recording other people. Like, I know there are people who probably feel like, oh, recording yourself every day. Like, not everything needs to be content. Not everything needs to be on social media. I might disagree with that if you're just recording yourself. But I see why people say that. But, like, when you're involving other people in your content, or you're making content off of other people, especially when people are just existing. Like, I see videos sometimes where people are like, oh, recorded this guy while I was sitting in the park. And like, Yeah, it might be a guy that's like doing taekwondo in the park shirtless, right? And he's wearing jeans and then like thong sandals. And it's embarrassing and it's cringe, but it's also kind of like you don't have to, just leave him alone. Just leave him alone. I think one of the things that I've mastered the art of living in Baltimore City, where you see a lot of questionable things and a lot of questionable characters, I take note of something. I'm looking, but I'm also minding my business. And I think that's a problem with a lot of y'all. Some of y'all don't know how to mind y'all business. So, like, sometimes when I'm out, like if I'm commuting to or from work, right? I work in DC. I'll be on the metro and I see someone acting a fool. Like, this is me. I'll be on my phone. I see someone doing something. I say, oh, that's crazy. And I look back down at my phone. Now, I'm keeping an eye out for Selena, right? Like, I'm making sure that if that person is a danger to me, I'm making sure that I'm aware of my surroundings. But I'm not looking because I'm not trying to engage. I don't need to be staring at them to know what's going on. Meanwhile, though, you have people on the train breaking and craning their neck to look. Sit back, little mama. Like, it's just, you don't need to stare. You don't need to stare. And I don't know why this is one of those things where I'm like, I get irritated so quickly because not only are those people craning their necks to look, now they're looking at other people to confirm what they just saw. And I don't know why, but that gets under my skin so bad. Like, so now you're trying to involve someone else into your nosiness, but they always have the same face. It's always like, they're looking around, they're like, oh, what is this? And then they turn and they look at someone like, can you believe? Would you stop? Because now when that person perceives that you're perceiving them, they're gonna be on that ass because you want to be nosy and you wanna try out little bits here. You're trying to do a stand-up bit. Get a load of this going on. Just relax, Martha. Relax, Steven. We're almost at your stop. You can get off and you take the shuttle to your nice DC office job. Just relax. No, I agree. Sometimes it's just, I think people, even sometimes like when I'm like filming like my content, like if I'm filming commute stuff, I mean, I can't stop people from like walking in front of me as I'm filming, but I always feel like really weird if someone's like in my shot, like when I'm like recording the train coming my way. I always feel weird when there are people like in that shot, and I try my best to not use a clip if it has someone's like face in it, because I don't want people to feel like I'm filming them. I just feel like it'd be a really weird feeling to watch someone's video and see yourself in it. Because it's just like, oh, wait, like I feel like you've captured me at like somewhat of a vulnerable moment. So I never want that to happen. So I can't imagine like you see someone doing something strange in public and your first like inclination is to take out your phone and not only like record it. It's one thing if you're sharing it like with friends or family, which is still like strange in and of itself. But one thing to record it and then post it online for the purpose of getting attention. And that person like isn't doing anything to you, not causing any harm. And of course, I don't want to be. I get. Oh, wow. No, that was intense. Wow. I'm not making fun of people that stutter. I promise. That just caught me off guard coming from myself. Wow. Anyway. Oh my goodness. That was actually kind of funny. I don't want to sound like that friend that's too woke because like obviously I know that there's been like some really good memes that have come from like recording strangers in public. Like the first one I thought of is that Vine. You know the one, the girl's walking by and she's like, and they were roommates. Oh my God, they were roommates. Like that's a fun Vine. I understand that like a lot of societal meme culture and context comes from that. And in some ways I guess that can be harmless, but it's like a double-edged sword, I guess, and I think you have to know like how to tote that line. So yeah, I don't know, but I agree with this one. I do. I literally hate that everyone vapes or uses an e-cig. Like y'all are gonna die. Okay, friend, that's a little dramatic, but I'm not gonna lie. I see so many kids, because I work in university. So I mean, they're not, I guess, technically kids. I see, young adults. So many young adults, though. Just casually just hitting the vape, bro. Which, like, yeah, it's vapor. I get it. I understand. And usually it's like they're kicking nicotine addictions, which is crazy to me. That so many young people have developed nicotine addictions. Like, it's just, That's a way that I truly do feel like history is repeating itself. Because I feel like, we'd watch TV shows from like the 80s and the 90s and stuff. And it's like, oh, little Stephanie, she walked into the bathroom at school and she saw her friend smoking cigarettes. I'm thinking about Full House. And I would always think to myself, like, oh my God, like that's so young. Like nothing like that ever happened when I was in school. But then again, actually, I might be lying. At least not in middle school though. And I felt like Stephanie in Full House, at least when that episode happened, she was in middle school, no? In any regard, I just don't know how people like developing like full-on nicotine addictions to the point where like you had an addiction and you now figured out that you need to just vape because that's better for you, I think. I don't even know how any of that stuff works. I listened to Dare. When they said say no to drugs, I said a vehement no. I don't play about that. I'm drug-free over here, baby. Check me out. But, yeah, it feels very normal now. And I feel like it's very normal for like kids in like freshman year going into high school, and you're just full on with the vaping, full on with the e-cigging. It is pretty astounding, honestly. Like it is very shocking, a little bit of a culture shock. This is funny. Sexy Red need to wrap that shit up is just what this one says. I remember once, I think the episode where I had my boyfriend and his sister on here, we were talking about Sexy Red, and one of my good friends, she was like, she was kind of upset because she was like, basically saying, I feel like people judge Sexy Red a lot, because she's not like this monolith of what it means to be a black woman. And I do think in some regards, the rise of Sexy Red has been really refreshing because it shows a duality of black women, and it shows that not everyone has to be like a certain type. Sexy Red is very authentically herself, and I think that was really refreshing for people to see from a black woman in general. I think it was really nice. I think where Sexy Red started to lose me officially was with these lip gloss flavors or lip gloss shades that she came out with. Now, Sexy Red, come to the front, because I have something to say. So, obviously her brand is very sexually explicit, very sexually out there. So some of these names are indicative of that. Like there is one called Coochie Juice, right? Because why not? Booty Hole Brown, that was a famous line from her famous song. Why not, right? Then we have Nut, right? Risque, it's out there, but okay, yeah, sure. And then we get over yonder, and there's one, I personally don't think I would buy any of these lip glosses, even if they were like the most impeccable lip glosses I've ever seen, because I don't want someone to be like, oh, what are you wearing? And I'm like, oh, I'm wearing Sex on My Period by Sexy Red. That's not gonna happen from me. I think where she really, really lost people is when she named one of her shades after an STI. And that shade is gonorrhea. Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have to wait outside for the Uber. I'm sorry, Sexy Red. It's just like, and I get it, right? Because her brand is like sexual explicitness, and she's in your face with it, and she's unapologetic. I get it. Gonorrhea, though? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what else. Stop asking me to sign up for a stupid store credit card. Yeah. And I think it's even worse too, because for people that work in retail, it sucks to me that is a part of their job. And like they can get reprimanded if they don't get a certain number of people to sign up for their cards. But I promise you, in all of my 27, soon to be 28 years, January 4th, Big whoop. But 27 years, I've never. First of all, I don't think I need to be having multiple lines of credit to a store. Something about that frightens me just a little bit. I don't trust myself. I'm still figuring out how to actually build my credit score with just my one credit card. I don't need something else, especially attached to a store. No, that seems like a racket for myself. But I've never been casually shopping in Ulta or Old Navy. And I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm going to do it today. And I get to the front and there's just the most charming person I've ever met. And then we laugh and we kiki and we're talking about each piece that I bought. And they flash me those pearly whites and they say, would you like to sign up for a store credit card today? You can save about 40% of your purchase right now. No, I'm good. It was no 5 minutes ago and it's no now. Like, it's just never going to happen. At least for me. Clearly some people do it, which more power to them. I just don't see the point. I do understand though, like, oh, like, points and whatnot and all this stuff. I can't be bothered with that right now. I got to focus on my one credit score with my one credit card, with my, with my credit agency. I can't be giving my money to Ulta/Credit Company Inc. I can't do that right now. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I am just saying like I can't do it. But yeah, and it sucks because it is a part of their job and they do have to ask. I don't think I could do that. Like I remember when I used to work at Chipotle, when a customer would come to the line to order their food, I would say like, "Hi, what can I get for you?" or something like that. I think I would say that, "What can I get for you?" And once one of the managers was right next to me, and I'm not gonna say I didn't respect this person. What I will say is that we went to high school together and I knew him when he was kind of a dickhead. So for him to go from dickhead to like, oh, so like when you greet customers, you're supposed to say, what can I get started for you today? Or it was something, I think what it was actually really pissed me off. And I don't have a problem with authority, but it was just like, it was so nitpicky. It felt like it was splitting hairs to me. Oh, you're actually supposed to say this. You're actually supposed to get the fuck out of my fucking face. How about that? How about that? It just pissed me off. Like, I don't like little things like that. It's not like when a customer walks up, I was saying, what the hell do you want? What do you want now? Hi, what can I get for you? And you want me to change it? What can I get started for you? Ew. Like, no, that just pissed me off. See, I'm not a complete boomer. I don't like when people tell me what to do, which maybe seems pretty boomer to me, honestly, now that I think about it. But no, I hate that y'all have to ask me that, and I hate that every single time I have to say no. And I hate that y'all ask me again, and I'll still say no. But I at least will say no in an earnest way. Like they'll say, oh, do you want to sign up? You want to sign up for a credit card? It'll save you 30% of your purchase today. I always say, no, I think I'm all right. And they say, are you sure? You'll get 2.5% cash back with every purchase. And I say, yeah, I think I'm good. Continue with the rest of the purchase, please. No, I didn't mean to snap at you, but continue with the rest of the purchase. I got more money to spend that I don't have. Let's see what's next. Let's see. I got 2 people on here saying downloading apps for everything, and I agree. But there's a small part of me that I love downloading apps. I don't know why. Even for things that I don't use often, like I have the Resi app on my phone. I hardly ever like make reservations anywhere, but sometimes it is just easier to have something on an app than like to have it pull it up. Oh my God. Than to have to pull it up in your web browser. But with that being said, sometimes it is just too many apps. It is too much. And especially for people like, if you don't have the storage on your phone, you're constantly having to delete another app or offload another app. Like, it does get to be just too much. There's an app for everything. This honestly goes back to the whole smart device thing. Because why do you have an app on your phone for your toaster? That to me is just the craziest thing. It's even crazier for me. I don't know if it's still super popular, but do y'all remember the Hatch alarm clocks? I think they were super popular like 2021 era, because I remember I would see so many people on TikTok have it like in their Amazon storefront, because it was like this alarm clock that I guess was maybe a smart alarm clock, and it had like these peaceful alarms that would wake you up more gently instead of like, an iPhone alarm or the alarms that like your Lexi would have if you use your Lexi for alarms. First of all, $180 for an alarm clock. Actually, let's look it up. But I remember the first time I looked it up and I saw the price and I said, oh, and this was when I was in my like heavy Amazon spending era. And I justified a lot of different purchases. I could not justify that. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. $169 for an alarm clock, girl. Like an alarm clock. Something that you could go to Walmart right now and get for probably less than $10. And $170 for an alarm clock. But not only that, so not only are you paying $170 for this alarm clock, then you know what you have to do? I'm assuming you have to download an app, right? And then on this app, you have to then go ahead and purchase a plan to use it. So not only did you pay $170 hairs, 170 bones for this alarm clock, now you have to download an app and pay for a subscription like membership service or something like that. But you have to pay for something to use that you just bought. That don't make no sense. I'm like, and the fact, because this is like Amazon's like, it's a top product. 100, can I read? 1,700 reviews. So it might not actually seem like that many people bought it, but like yeah. Well, no. 10,000 people have bought this in the past month. So this is a popular item that people are using. Like, you guys, that's crazy. It's crazy. Like, and I'm so sure the creators of this alarm clock, they have to be licking their chops every day because they're like, we cracked the code. We tricked them. Like, we got it. We got y'all. We made y'all buy this expensive alarm clock and now we're making y'all pay to use it. Oh, that gags me. That's horrendous to me. Let's see what else. There's a few more on here. I think I'll just read like a few more and then we'll be done. I don't like that you don't buy movie tickets anymore. Everything is online. I agree. I do love and appreciate a good physical ticket of something. Back in the day when I used to think I was going to be a scrapbooker, it was like fun to have a physical ticket. I even like having like physical concert tickets. Now I will say, I can't speak for you Android girlies, don't know what y'all end up doing, but for the Apple girlies, if you save everything, like I'm almost sure I probably have like all of my concert tickets still saved in my wallet. But then again, well, not then again, because I haven't said it yet, but I've been having this conversation with people at work. Physical media is a real thing, then we have to keep it. Yeah, like I have my ticket from the first Big Time Rush concert back in 2022. Physical media is a thing, and we have to find ways to preserve it. I don't know what the movie was, but I saw this tweet, and it was let's say it was Lilo and Stitch, right? And someone had recorded a clip from Lilo and Stitch on a streaming service, and someone recorded a clip of Lilo and Stitch from the DVD version, and there was a scene or dialogue that was drastically different, and I was gagged by it because I was like, oh yeah, that's true. Like these movie people, like these Disney execs or whoever owns this the rights to this movie, they can just change something at any time, especially with animation. Like maybe not so much with like a real life movie like a High School Musical or something, but certainly they can change animation and no one would be none the wiser. And now with like advancements in like AI technology and deepfakes and things like that, maybe you could end up changing something in like a real movie. Who would know? Physical media is so important. Isn't that how like, I don't know, we got all that stuff from like cave people back in the day? Like they had physical media, like different tablets and stuff and different scribes and writings and things. Maybe not scribes, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Like that's the reason that like we're able to know so much about like previous civilizations is because things were physically kept. Now, obviously, we've built this infrastructure so that we have these memories of things. Like, if you have your pictures on your phone and you're backing up your phone constantly, we've created this infrastructure to where that's reliable. But like in another way, it's kind of like, stop, because now I'm going to have an existential crisis, you guys. But like, what if that all goes away? Then what are we going to do? Physical media is very important. That's what, actually, now I have a Polaroid camera. I'm going to start using it more often. One, I just think Polaroids are so cute. Like, every picture looks better in a Polaroid. But like, you guys, physical media is important. We need to start cherishing that. So in that same regard, I think whenever you can, if you can get a physical ticket from something, Even if it's a physical parking ticket, you should keep it, says the non-driver. But yeah, those were some of the boomer complaints. I would love to know if you have any boomer complaints you'd love to share with me. I will find a way for you to be able to elevate those boomer complaints because I want to know. I think it's really interesting. I think it's just a good, fun moment for us to like just sit down and kind of talk about the things that make us cranky because it opens up larger conversations. Like I feel like every single complaint I read today, we had a dialogue about it. We're creating space for that and we're holding space for that. That's a really stupid joke reference. Anyway. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Make sure you follow the podcast on all social media pages for more content. Check the description box for details.
You guys, and we are back. End of the first segment, beginning of the second segment. Usually that means we do something a little fun, a little different for the channel. Although it's not really different if I do it every week though, I guess, is it? But anyway, things that I've been enjoying lately. One, for the baddies that have been watching the podcast, as you will see, I have been wearing my hair out. I wore it out last week's episode. Did I talk about it last week's episode? Because now I feel like I did. Because now I'm getting deja vu. Baby, I can't go anywhere without thinking that you're there. Seems like you everywhere, it's true. Gotta be having deja vu. Did I talk about it last episode? I don't remember now. Well, if I did, I'm still enjoying it then. I'm still enjoying wearing my hair out. I've enjoyed the process of learning a new way to do my hair. If you've known me or the stuttering is bad this episode. If you've at least watched this podcast for a long time, you know that I'm typically wearing my hair in the slickest, backest of buns. You wouldn't be able to pry a slick back bun out of my hands. Like me and my slick back bun were like this. We were like besties. But one day I realized I was going bald. No, I did realize though that the crown of my head was shorter than the rest of my hair, like drastically short. And I was like, something got to change. I was like, okay, I'll start doing more lower tension hairstyles. And I never thought I would like wearing my hair out because I don't like when my hair touches my face. I thought it would, I sweat very easily. And so I was always thinking about like in times when I get really stressed and my hair's in my face, like what am I going to do? But I've noticed that it really hasn't been too bad. I also say that like, I mean, it's cooled down significantly since I started wearing my hair out. But even when it was still hot, like in late September, my hair would just shrink up enough to where it really wouldn't touch. I wouldn't have all this luscious hang time because my hair would shrink up so much that it wouldn't even be in my face. So that would be nice. But it's been really nice to like wear my hair like this. And now I feel like this has almost become my new normal because I've worn it like this now for so long. Like one of my friends from work, Brian, he said like, at first I could only imagine you with your slick back buns, but now I can only imagine you like this. It's weird because it's both a low maintenance and a high maintenance hairstyle for me. Like the process of actually getting it done, high maintenance. The process of like maintaining it throughout the week, I don't think is super high maintenance, but I'm also a very lazy natural hair girl. And if I can find an easier way to do anything, I will, which is maybe why like my curls aren't super defined, but they're defined enough for me. I think my hair looks great like this. I'm hoping that, by the end of the year, my hair will be down my back, touching my butt. Like I'm going to have inches. So yeah, I've really been enjoying wearing my hair out. It's given me a new appreciation for being able to do my natural hair. I just want to look at it really quick in my camera. It eats pooks. Like I like wearing my hair like this. I can't believe that I can't believe there was a point in time where I never liked wearing my hair like this. Because I really do like the way it looks and definitely see it being something long-term. I would love to, I'm aggressively scratching my eye right now. It just feels like there's something in there. I think they're just dry though. I would like to slowly but surely become one of God's favorites and know how to do my own hair. I think that's like my next thing. But yeah, I've been enjoying wearing my hair like this. What else have I been enjoying recently? Oh, you guys, this is super, it's not necessarily niche, but I really have been enjoying them. Nerds clusters. I felt like subconsciously I was seeing a lot of TikToks about nerds clusters, or either that or I was watching people do like those trauma salad things, like the candy salad things, and people would always say they brought nerds clusters. And I think I would like see comments about people talking about them specifically. And I'm like, what is the deal with Nerds clusters? Like, I've had Nerds before. Great candy. Possibly a top 5 sugary candy. Maybe. Let me think. I can't go in order because that'll take me too long. Definitely Starbursts, Skittles. Y'all know I love a good peach ring. Or maybe you don't know that, but now you know. And for that sake, I'd have to say like the watermelon gummy wedges. Yeah, absolutely. See, no, it wouldn't be top 5 though, because I didn't even include lemon heads, and I love lemon heads. And I didn't include Swedish Fish, and I love Swedish Fish. But Nerds are definitely good, right? So I've had Nerds before. I love a Nerds rope. So I was like, oh, like a gummy cluster, like it can't be that life-changing. It's just a Nerds rope cut up. I had some the other day. I got one of those like little dollar boxes from the grocery store. I ate that box in an alarming rate. I said, oh, these were good as hell. I may or may not have gotten a slightly bigger bag from the grocery store just recently. Now, don't let me go to a big box or a wholesale store, because the damage I'm about to do on Nerds clusters alone, and I really shouldn't be eating candy because you know what? I've gone through my fair share of dental problems, and I literally never want to have another dental problem again. Y'all don't understand how much I hate the dentist, and I would do anything to not go back. Once I got my wisdom teeth and like all my cavities cleared up, I said, you will never see me in this chair to put another drill in my mouth ever again. I hate the dentist. I hate the dentist. I don't like I don't even like the feeling of a clean. I know some of y'all freaks like to get your teeth cleaned. Teeths. I know some of y'all like that feeling. I don't. I understand why it's necessary. I like the feeling of having clean teeth, but not even then, like, oh God. I just don't like it. So with that being said, I should not be preparing to down as much of these Nerds clusters that I am. But Poogs, Nerds headquarters, come to the front. Y'all ate with that. I don't know what y'all did. I want to have some right now. I have the bag sitting over there, but I'm holding off. You know what they kind of remind me of? Do y'all remember that episode of Jimmy Neutron where it was like the gum, I think the gum that he ate that like made him smarter? Or did it make Jimmy dumber and it made everyone else around him smarter? No. The only thing I remember from that episode is it was either Cindy or Carl. And they ended up doing like this, I think it was Cindy, and she did like this Southern monologue about like being like raising kids on her own on the farm. I know y'all remember what I'm talking about. Anyway, that's what Nerds clusters remind me of, just like the shape of them. Now I need to find this scene. Hold on. Yes, it was the book gum. Yes. Okay, so it's not shaped like Nerds clusters though, Shamira, you idiot. No, show me Cindy's monologue. Honestly, is Jimmy Neutron on any streaming service? Because I do feel like I could go and watch that again. That was a good cartoon. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've been enjoying. I have one more thing I've been enjoying, but I'm going to use it as a segue to get me out of this part. But I want to, trying to think if there's anything else I've been enjoying, but I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. For now, at least. So if you have anything out there that you've been enjoying, you know how to let me know. If you're watching this podcast on YouTube, please let me know in the comment section things you've been enjoying recently. If you are listening to this podcast on Spotify, there is a section where you can type a comment to me and let me know what you're enjoying. Please stop ignoring me. I don't like to be ignored. I'm not going to be ignored by you, Dan. I've never seen that movie. I've never seen Fatal Attraction. I've only seen the Family Guy remake of it. And I want you to know that's been the case for a lot of popular media. Like The Great Gatsby. I've never seen The Great Gatsby. I've only ever seen the Family Guy version. And I feel like I know the entire story. So, now what? Like I said, I'm not going to keep being ignored by you, though. I'm really not. Like, it's actually not going to keep happening. You're going to tell me the things that you've been enjoying. Upon listening to this episode, you're going to find a way to tell me that. Yeah. That's the way it's going to have to be between you and I now. I know early in the episode I said bullying wasn't going to work, but now I'm going to be your biggest bully. Tell me things you've been enjoying. I need to know. I'm nosy. I'm also a supportive friend. And if you've been enjoying something, I want to be able to share that excitement with you. What part of this relationship do you not want? Damn. The last thing I've been enjoying recently has been really fun. I've really enjoyed it because it's kind of ignited this like weird mental capacity in me. I've been enjoying having celebrity crushes again. Now, let me make this perfectly clear. For those of you who don't know who I am, one thing about Shamira, she's always going to have a celebrity crush. That's like one of my favorite things about myself. And people think that's crazy. I really don't care. I enjoy crushing on celebrities. I think it's fun. I can't explain why I enjoy it so much, but there is something about being just so delusional that I just enjoy. You know what it actually is? You know what it is? To have a crush, to be delusional, it's especially when it's on a celebrity, is to something about it is to have whimsy in your life, right? Like things are just fun again. Like scrolling on social media is fun. Now, I'm on the side of social media sometimes where it can get a little think piece heavy. It can get a little bit heavy because there's heavy things going on. Like prime example, right now, we are waist deep in election season time. The timeline at this time has the potential to be a lot right now. Like I feel like prior to me discovering my most two recent celebrity crushes, I was fully prepared for my timeline right now to just be a bunch of political stuff. I'm not really a politically inclined person. I will engage in some discourse because I do think to be aware of political ongoings is to like be aware with like society as a whole. I do not think any of us really have the luxury to not at least pay attention to what's going on politically. I'm not saying you have to engage in discourse often or engage in debates online, but I think, we should all be aware of it. That being said, right? I've enjoyed what I've been calling brain rot. I've been enjoying being brain rotted because when I get online, I'm not seeing political discourse. I'm not seeing people create discourse about, I think the other day I got on social media, I got on Twitter, and the first thing I saw was someone talking about how like Glorilla has ugly privilege and things like that. I said, no. I don't care about that. Show me a picture of that man again. Like, there is something so freeing about I'm getting on social media to look at a few funny videos here and there, to look at some memes, look at some edits of this fine ass man, and then I'm gonna go do my next task. But then when I sit back down and I pick up my phone, I want to see the same content again. There's something that's freeing about it. I love it. I love it because it just gives your mind a break. Sometimes your mind just needs a break, and I feel like that is what having a celebrity fixation is like. Like, it just feels very like, oh, did I hear what this celebrity said? Did I hear who this celebrity endorsed? No. But did you see this edit? Did you see these pictures that he just posted? Wow. Great googly muggly. Nothing else matters except for this edit right here. Yeah, no, it's just been so much fun. And I'm working to maintain my For You page, my TikTok For You page, to be very edit heavy because it's just what makes me happy. Like, there's nothing better for me. Like, I'm up at 8 a.m. I'm on the train to work. I'm in the middle of my 2-hour commute. I pull out my phone, I go on TikTok, and the first thing I see is an edit of none other than Cooper Koch. And I'm like, ah! Suddenly, it's not 8 a.m. anymore and I'm not exhausted. Suddenly, I'm wide awake. I have energy. I'm beaming from ear to ear. I'm sending this to my friend so that when she wakes up, we can kiki about it. I'm not trying to be fake deep about it, right? I'm really not trying to be fake deep. But it's just fun. Like, it just gives you something to look forward to. Like, every single time I open my TikTok, like, I'm almost sure right now, if I open my TikTok, hold on. I'm going to close it out because I know I was just on it. I bet the first thing that will be on here when I open it is an edit. I at least bet you $1. I'll bet you $1. If I lose, I'm going to cry. Okay, so I lost, right? I lost. Let's see what the next thing is, though. Found it. Got it. Granted, this is not a happy edit. It's kind of a sad one, but I'm going to watch it. I owe you $1. I'm going to go to my favorites, and we're going to look at an edit from there. Let me see if I can find one. Ah! I need him bad, y'all. Badly. I'm down egregiously for him. Give him to me now. Anyway, like I was saying, I'm going to calm down. But, like, there's a part of me that's like, Shamira, you're being really delusional. Because now and look, I'm being honest here. I'm being realer than real. I'm going to be very vulnerable here for a second. The fixation is all fun and games, right? But now when I start having dreams about them, oh man, I'm in too deep. I'm in so deep. Because why am I having dreams about you now? Why am I yearning for you in a way that is concerning? Before anyone starts to say it, don't you have a boyfriend? Like, isn't having celebrity crushes when you have a boyfriend kind of weird? Go outside and touch grass and breathe some fresh air and get out of my ass. You're not just on my ass, you're in my ass. Get out of my ass. Do y'all know that though? Do y'all know that there are people who fully believe that if you're in a committed relationship and you have celebrity crushes that is basically cheating, those people, they're unwell, baby. I don't get the math. You know how in school, like in math class, they would say you have to show out your work to get credit for the problem? I need people who believe in that to show me the work. Like show me how you got from point A to point B in as many steps as possible. Because I don't believe that with actual like concrete reasoning that you think that that's like a normal thing to say. Oh, you're like cheating on your boyfriend because you think Chase Crawford is hot. Are you stupid? Do you need someone to hold your stupid little baby hand while I explain to you this simple little concept? You stupid little baby. Like, I'm just a girl who likes celebrities. Celebrities in one way or another. And I'm talking about like actual celebrity, not like public figures, but like actual celebrities. They are made to look gorgeous so that people can adore them even more. Like, I feel like I would love to like watch a documentary on like the history of being a celebrity or like just being like a movie star. Like, movie stars are created in an image almost. Like, they are themselves, but they're also created in an image by stylists and publicists and people to make them appeal to the public in a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's why certain celebrities remind you of certain people. I can't think of, like, to me, I don't know. Like, I feel like Chase Crawford, just as an example, like when he was first coming up, like very Gossip Girl, like all of that era of like men that were hot, like us growing, like when we were growing up, like the Chase Crawfords, the I can't think of anyone else, but like they were all modeled after like that 90s heartthrob, and that 90s heartthrob was modeled after the previous year. Like, it's just a constant cycle, and you're taking aesthetics from different genres and different time periods to make that person the most attractive version of themselves. Case in point, Sabrina Carpenter, she's a very pretty girl, right? But her aesthetic right now is very like mod, kind of like 60s almost, but like very girly pop. I love her, and I think she's just a fabulous person. Like, she feels very like she's bringing back the glitz and glamour of Hollywood for me. She truly is. How did I even get here? I don't know. I've just been enjoying having celebrity crushes recently. It's been great. I love having fixations. I don't know how people can consume media in a regular way. Like, if you are someone who you can like watch a TV show or a movie or listen to a song and you can just be like, okay, I'm done with that TV show and now I'll move on. I would love to know how you do that. Cause like, I don't even get to finish a TV show sometimes. Like, I will hold off for as long as possible, but sooner or later, I'm gonna need to consume some content about that show, and it better be there. Like, nothing was more heartbreaking to me than when I finished Oz with my brother, which was a crazy show in and of itself. I finished Oz with my brother, and I go to look up some media on Tumblr.com, and there's nothing there. It's just barely anything there. I need the GIFs. I need the pictures. I need the screen caps. I need something. How you're going to force me to be normal about this media that I just consumed? Are you serious? I need something. So anyway, developed new 2 celebrity crushes, right? Cooper Koch. I'm blushing. Cooper Koch and Nicholas Alexander Chavez. I discovered them probably the same way that most other people discovered them recently. They played Lyle and Eric Menendez on Ryan Murphy's show Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. Now, we will talk about the Menendez brothers in the last part of the episode. And I'll say it now, even though I'll say it right before that segment, but, sorry. Oh, my phone just started playing. It scared the shit out of me. Trigger warning for several things, but we'll talk about the Menendez brothers in a little bit. But yeah, I discovered them through that. I wasn't going to watch the series for reasons that I will talk about later, but I kept seeing all the edits and I said, well, I see now that Ryan Murphy has casted 2 of the most attractive people I've ever seen. I'm going to have to give this series a little looky-loo. And wouldn't you know it, a looky-loo I gave it. And I'm giving it another looky-loo because I'm making my boyfriend watch it, and I'm trying to find someone else to watch it with me so I can watch it again. I don't necessarily want to watch it alone, because then I feel like it's like, okay, calm down. But if I watch it with someone else, it makes me feel better. I mean, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? I've just never felt this way before about a celebrity crush. It's bad, you guys. It's bad. Every single social media platform I go on to has content about those boys. It's bad. I went on Facebook today. Mind y'all, I don't use Facebook. I do not get on the app. I honestly probably should, I don't use it at all. Even in my, I feel like a lot of people I went to college with use Facebook, regularly now. Baby, that app will never see me ever again. I don't know her anymore. Me and Facebook ain't talked since high school. I don't know her. I opened it for the first time today because I was trying to be nosy and figure out some tea that I heard about. I saw an ad for that show. Now, and I know how, the whole, I think internet, I don't really know how it all works, but if you search something on Pinterest, it could show up on Facebook. I don't really know. I don't really care. But I was like, I can't get away from them. But I've put myself in this situation. My entire Pinterest, the second I open it up, let's just take a little looky-loo. Let me just take a peek-see. Oh. Look at the material. You see it? One thing about me, I'd never tell a man with brown eyes no. Why would I say no to a gorgeous person? Cooper, I wouldn't. Look, hey, just because I know you're watching. I know you're listening. I hope you're watching. Because I'm kind of a looker. Do you see this? Do you see how giddy I am? Having a celebrity crush just makes you happy. It makes you giddy. Cooper, I have another chair in this living room. Just pull up. You and Nick can come. We'll figure out the mic situation. Wouldn't that be such a gag, you guys? Because there's one day I'm going to say, oh, I know the celebrity's listening. Well, you should come on the podcast. And I'm going to get an email from their people to be like, hey, do you want them on this podcast for real? Y'all do not understand. Why? I feel like I'm about to get emotional thinking about it. The idea that I could have a famous person on this podcast keeps me up at night. In a good way, of course. Y'all actually don't understand. I'm going to manifest it for myself. I need Cooper Koch. Somebody send him this podcast. I need him to come on this podcast. I might only have 22 subscribers on YouTube, but I need him here. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand. I'm going to rip out clumps of my hair. Y'all don't understand. I need him, or I need Nicholas here. I need one of them here. I don't know what's going to happen. I might not even be able to speak because what the hell? What the hell? I need it though. Need that. Hashtag need that. Bad. Egregiously. Yes. So I watched Ryan Murphy's show. Again, we'll talk about everything with that a little bit later. But good God. They're both, I can't even speak. I'm tongue-tied. You got me tongue-tied, boy. Having celebrity crushes has really just been it's a journey. I enjoy it. It keeps me sane. It probably doesn't, but it keeps things interesting. You know what I'm saying? it's like the same premise as like when you have like a workplace crush. It keeps things fresh because now you're like, oh, I have something to look forward to when I go to work. I have something to look forward to when I open TikTok, when I open Instagram, when I open Pinterest. Like, social media in itself is interesting enough, but like to have like a celebrity crush to look at, it's been great. So that being said, obviously, like I said, I've come to know them. I've come to know of them from Ryan Murphy's series, but I wanted to see other things that they were in. Because again, I'm trying to take in as much content as possible. Nicholas Chaves is on another Ryan Murphy show called Grotesquerie, which, now let me run that back. Grotesquerie is this phenomenal horror show. Now, y'all know me. I love the scary. I love the spooky. I love the ooky. I love everything that's just a little creepy, a little gory. Grotesquerie is about, how would I even describe it? I'm like actually really bad at describing what things are about. It's basically like, there's like a series of like murders that happen in this small town and they all have like these religious elements to them. And it's just so interesting. One thing, and look, Miss Niecy Nash Betts, forgive me because I was not familiar with your game. I knew Niecy Nash was an actor. I was introduced to Niecy Nash from when she used to do, it was some type of home improvement show and she was like the host of it. That was how I was introduced to her. I didn't know she was on Reno 911 actually, until later, but even then I've never actually seen it, but I was introduced to her from that home renovation show. I knew that she had gotten more into acting, but I didn't know like to what degree it was. And I knew she had worked with Ryan Murphy before because she was on Dahmer, which was with Evan Peters and stuff. So I knew that she was a very serious actress. When I first watched the show, of course, I watched it for Nicholas. I said, oh yeah, he plays a slutty priest, sign me up. So I go to watch it, and I think it was in episode 4, Niecy Nash delivers this incredible opening monologue that I can only hope was like just shot in one take. But I was like, oh, ooh, even just think about it now gives me chills. It was just so incredible. So the Fixations has now opened me up to like more projects, which if that's not what a fixation is all about, then I just don't know what this is all for then. Because now I'm like, well, now I want to go back and watch more things with Niecy Nash in it because she is such a phenomenal actress. And the way that she plays this character in Grotesquerie, she is just so, she's like almost like a tragic hero kind of, at least in my opinion. I won't say any spoilers because it is a show that is currently on. But she's such a complex and dynamic character, but she's so interesting. But just the way that she speaks is so, Miss Niecy Nash, you're something incredible. It's an incredible show. It's a great show. Travis Kelce is on that show, and he's actually, and this pains me to say because y'all know I want to be a hater on him for so many reasons, but why is he actually not a bad actor? Like, oh, brother, it's actually not too bad. So that's, yeah. So Nicholas has been in some fun stuff. I also learned that Nicholas he got started on General Hospital. Now, I haven't watched soap operas since my days in daycare when my daycare ladies used to watch them. I don't know if I can actually ever get back into them because something about a soap opera, it's almost just a little too, like, y'all know I love a little bit of drama, a little bit of acting, even overacting. And I love a little bit of like, I feel like soap operas are just the tiniest bit of like camp. Like, they're almost kind of bad, which makes them even better. With that being said, I don't know if I could watch and take it seriously. But that also being said, me and one of my friends from work, I won't sit up here and act like we haven't watched General Hospital compilations of Nicholas. Like, I won't lie to y'all. Anyway, so that's been great. The other one, Cooper. Cooper has been in a lot of interesting movies. He was in this, it was like this gay, like slasher film, which again, love horror. And there were so many different elements to it. I mean, there was a slasher element that makes it scary, but then the movie premise itself was about like this like conversion camp. The whole thing was so interesting. One thing about Cooper, I've now seen him in 3 things. And in all of those things, he just doesn't mind being naked. Now, getting a little hot under this wool blanket, I'm just gonna take it off really quick. That has done things for this fixation that are concerning, that should be concerned to some mental health professionals for me. someone needs to check in on me. The fixations have been good. They've been keeping my mind busy. And if nothing else, if you're just like, oh girl, wrap it up. We get it. You're boy crazy. Yes. But I'm about to spin it back on y'all and give y'all a very valuable lesson, right? Or not valuable, but at least just something they walk away with, right? Having a fixation is fun because I think it helps you occupy your mind in a way that doesn't feel like you're running away from anything. It just feels like a hobby, honestly. I think that the world that we are in, despite whatever happens tomorrow or the next day after that or the next day after that or on November 5th, when we find out who will be the president of this great country, I think that having things that you can kind of give yourself into in a way that feels very natural and organic and exciting is inherently a good thing. I mean, I'm not saying something that you can turn into like, okay, for example, obviously me, I like content creation a lot. I love the editing process. I love what ends up being the final product of a TikTok that I've been filming all day and I get to see the final bits of it. Not the end product of like, a podcast episode or a YouTube video. I love that. I love all of that, right? In that same regard, because I've been doing it now for so long and I, want to monetize it and all this stuff and I have big dreams, it's not so much a hobby now as much as it does feel like kind of like a second job. And that's not inherently a bad thing. But with that in mind, it's not as fun sometimes as it is fun to like just sit back and scroll on Tumblr. And, I used to be like super active on Tumblr, just like with my name and my face and stuff. But now, since I can't even actually say why I changed it. I won't say why. I know we keep things realer than real in this podcast, but I won't perjure myself like this. I changed my account name because I wanted to like just post more. I changed my account name because I wanted to have a social media platform that was not tied to any of my social media handles that I use for content creation and like business inquiries. But that's been super fun now because it's just something to do. Like, it's something that occupies my mind. It like requires no brain activity. I can like make friends with mutuals, and I already have made friends with like other mutuals who have the same interests in me. So it's been or have the same interests that I do, and it's just been so fun to do that. And how do I put this? It's been fun to kind of have like that mind-numbing thing to do because I think it just kind of reinvigorates you in general. I don't know. I feel like there's a better, more eloquent way to describe it. But to me, honestly, to have a fixation is to kind of complete the cycle of what it means to enjoy media. It like being able to fixate on something, it kind of sparks that same joy for me that like live tweeting, like I know y'all remember Euphoria Sundays, being able to partake in like that, just that like I'm watching the content, I'm enjoying it, and I'm finding now these communal aspects with it. And yes, I'm very into it, and like it's occupying a lot of my brain for several hours of the day. But in that same regard, it's like I'm the happiest I've been, which sounds really melodramatic. I don't mean that I've been sad, but like I'm just like extra happy now. I'm making friends because of this. I'm finding ways to connect with people because of this. Like the fixation to me is so much more than just, oh my God, this guy's so hot. And I have millions of pictures of them in my camera roll. I have enough pictures of them in my camera roll to where the Apple like photo album is now recognizing their face and they're categorizing all the images of that person in its own separate album, which feels like a little bit of a read. But it's more than that to me. Something about a fixation is like, it's finding new ways to enjoy media again. And I think that at its core, that is what I like about it. Don't get me wrong now. I engage with a think piece here and there. I'll look at what the latest celebrity news is about some other celebrity being another awful person. I will look at that. But in that same regard, sometimes I just want to get on my phone and look at the same edit that I've been looking at for weeks of the same man over and over again, because the first 0.5 seconds are just gold to me. I'm saying all this to say, all my baddies, all my daddies, gather in. if you don't have a fixation, girl, you better get one. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm happy. I'm the happiest I've been in decades, mama. It's fun. It's fun. Have a fixation, fixate, deliberate, and celebrate. Now cheers to that. That makes no sense. I'm going to say it one more time though. If anyone knows anyone who can get me in contact with either Cooper Koch or Nicholas Alexander Chavez, I would appreciate it. And I'm going to touch your hand when I say this. I need them badly. And I need them on this podcast even badlier. So, again, if you know them, hit my line. I have an email for business inquiries. Please hit my line immediately. Cooper and Nicholas, if y'all are watching, we can cut out the middlemen. Hit my line immediately. I'm going to stop. It's going to get desperate now in a second, but I'm going to say it one more time. Hit my line immediately. We'll take a break and we'll be right back, ladies.
Be sure to give this podcast 5 stars on all platforms and give it a like on YouTube. I appreciate your support. Smooches for you all.
Trigger warning. The next segment discusses sensitive topics including family trauma, violence, and abuse as related to the Menendez brothers case. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. If you or someone you know has been affected by issues of family trauma or abuse, you can reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or visit their website at thehotline.org for support. Thank you. Okay, you guys. And as we settle into the last segment, I kind of hinted at it in the previous segment, but we will be talking about the Menendez brothers, and just everything that I kind of have to say about that. I feel like going into this, obviously I gave the trigger warning in the beginning. I just want to say in general, I was telling one of my friends that I was going to talk about this in the podcast, and I was talking about how I don't remember, it was a few weekends ago, and I just watched, I think, the first 7 or 6 episodes of Monsters. And I remember I invited one of my friends over Friday night. We watched it. That Saturday, I went to my grandmother's house, and on my way back home, it just felt very quiet out in the world. I don't know what it was. And I was feeling very contemplative, and I was just really emotional that day. And I don't know why, but I got home, and I felt like I was emotional because I was thinking about the Menendez brothers and everything they had been through. And so I used the journaling app on my phone, the Apple one, and I don't really type it out. I hate typing and I hate writing. So I just send myself like voice notes and stuff. And I remember I just sent myself like a voice note of just everything I've been feeling. And I was just profusely crying. Like I was crying. I was just so sad about everything they'd gone through and so sad about like their current situation. And I was telling one of my friends about this, and she was like, well, it makes sense because she listened to one of my other podcast episodes, the one where I was talking about the Netflix documentary where we had learned a lot about kid stars having to endure different types of assaults and abuse on their time with Nickelodeon. And she was like, well, you cried a lot during that episode, so it just seems like you're really sympathetic towards victims. And I really am. I really, really am. So when I first learned about the Menendez brother case, I remember, I never felt like I watched a lot of Lifetime growing up, but there was a point in time where I kept seeing this commercial for this Lifetime movie, and it was about them. And it was a big deal because Courtney Love was playing the mother. And so I think they just kept pushing it for that. But I'd never heard the story before. And I don't know what made me want to watch this movie, but I remember that I kept seeing the ads for it. And I was like, oh, like if the movie was premiering like on a Saturday night at 8, and this was like, I looked it up recently. This movie came out in like 2017. So 2017 on a random Saturday night at 8 p.m., I was surely sat to watch this, this Lifetime movie of this thing that happened. Prior to that, I had no knowledge of the Menendez brothers. I never knew anything about them. And even as I watched the movie, I didn't know if it was true or not. And I think at some point during the movie, I looked it up and I was like, holy shit, this is a true story. So I watched the movie. And I think ever since then, I've been aware of the Menendez brothers and everything that's going on with them. And the thing for me that might be different from some people, if you've watched well, to my knowledge, there's only like 3 different dramatic retellings of their story. And most people only know about 2, which is the Law and Order version and then this Ryan Murphy one. But there technically is a 3rd one, which is a Lifetime movie that I watched. And well, no, because I guess I've heard really good things about the Law and Order one, that like it was probably the most accurate depiction, I think, of everyone involved, and like I think maybe more realistic of the series of events that have happened. I've always believed them. I've always believed that everything that they went through was real. But again, I also know that I'm a very empathetic person, and I'm very empathetic towards victims and survivors of sexual assault. But now, where we are in 2024, where there's so much more evidence that has come out, or maybe not so much more evidence, because I think that everything was already there. I think most of the things that I've learned in just recent understandings of the trial based on different media that's come out, I feel like that was all already there. And I guess it really does just take doing research to learn about it. I struggle now with people who don't think that they're victims or who don't believe their story. I struggle with that part, I think, because to me, and I can admit my bias here, that I don't know, I can't see two people like that cry like that and be so distraught and truly have that. They have these moments, these very tangible moments of like they're seeking their parents' love. I can't watch someone deal with that duality of I love my parents, I respect my parents, but they're the ones that are causing me this pain, and they're the reasons that I feel this void inside. Like I can't watch someone retell what happened to them in the emotional nature that they did, and for whatever reason, it's just not clicking to me that they're victims. And it really baffles my mind that there are people that are like that. And I try and listen to people who have different points of views of me. And I try to listen to why people feel that kind of way. But it's all based on just non-factual stuff. So I'm going to talk about the case. And as much as I feel like I can cover it, everything that I know is already out there. I'm not going to uncover anything new. There's a lovely documentary on Netflix that I think covers it really well. But there's also, this trial took place in LA, and in LA you can have cameras in the courtroom. So there's completely raw, original footage of testimonies and everything, and it's all available. But I'm going to try telling the order of events. I don't know dates, so just follow me here. I do know this is August 20th, though, 1989, because it kept coming up in the documentary. August 20th, 1989. The Menendez brothers shot and killed their parents in their Beverly Hills home. It took a few months. Eventually, the police arrested them. They were put on trial. Their first trial was a hung jury. Their second trial, they were found guilty immediately. Wait, no, I'm speeding. I'm going through it too fast. For those of you who don't know about Menendez brothers, I'm going to simplify it because I think there's a lot of supporting details, but I think I just want to start with the basic bare bones of the case. Lyle and Eric Menendez were two brothers who shot and killed their parents in Beverly Hills in the late 80s, early 90s. When they were eventually arrested, which was not immediately, it was a few months after the murders. When they were eventually arrested, no one really understood why they would do this. They came from a very rich, affluent household. Their father, Jose Menendez, was very powerful. He owned, or like at least was high up in RCA Records. Like he's a very like prominent man. And their mother, by all accounts, seemed like this super sweet lady. The boys were very hesitant to talk about what had happened. And you had a lot of people just thinking it was for money. They were rich people. After their parents died, the boys spent a little bit of money. Everyone thought it was for money. A lot of mental health professionals thought something like this cannot just be just for money, because it was a rather gruesome killing. The boys purchased shotguns and all these things. And you don't just shoot someone with a shotgun because you want money. Some healthcare professionals looked into it. They said there's something deeper going on here. Both of the boys' defense teams knew that something deeper was going on there. Through some therapy sessions, it has now come to light that the boys had been facing emotional, physical, and sexual abuse at the hands of their parents for essentially all of their lives. The topic of the trial becomes, did they do what they did out of a fear of their lives? Was it self-defense? And, they were put on trial twice. The first time was a hung jury. The second time was not a fair trial, if I can speak so candidly. And they were sentenced to life without parole and have been in jail now for about 30 something years. And only just recently now, the defense attorney's office, the district attorney's office, they've decided to re-look at the Menendez brothers case. And in doing so, the district attorney's office has recommended to the judge that will oversee the re-looking at of their entire case, has recommended that they consider resentencing the boys, who are now men. They are in their 50s now, which is, it's crazy. So I knew a lot about the case, and I'm also like just very sympathetic towards them in general. But where do I start? I'll start with, I guess, how I got reintroduced to this topic, which is what, like I said in the recent segment, or in the last segment, was through Monsters. So, like I said, I watched Monsters because I thought the two actors were hot. I don't think that's a problem. I'm just putting it out there. That was why I originally watched it. Ryan Murphy has always kind of scared me and kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I think I've said this before on here, I was a big fan of Glee back in the day. And even though Glee is not at all the same subject matter as Monsters or pretty much anything else that Ryan Murphy has created, which I just think is so interesting that like he went from making Glee to like now he like does exclusively like gritty horror or like crime stuff. It's very interesting. I mean, it shows his range, I guess. And then before Glee, he did Nip Tuck, which I've never watched, but again, is probably not as gritty and gruesome as some of the other stuff he's done. But I've always had mixed feelings about him. I don't know what it is. I've never been like, oh, I love Ryan Murphy. I've always been like, and that one's a little weird. So when I heard about Monsters and I heard that it was getting a lot of backlash because of certain subject matter that was in it, certain narratives that were created and certain things that were amended, I knew I wanted to watch it to, one, just, again, thought the actors were attractive, but two, I cared about the story of the Menendez brothers, but knowing apparently that was the issue, is that people felt like the Menendez narrative was not treated with respect. I said, okay, I want to watch it now to evaluate for myself. I think that Ryan Murphy, as a creative, right, as a writer, producer, director, things like that, when you, in his position, he had two options, right? He could either tell the truth, he could find a way to bring the truth to light, or he could find a way to manipulate the truth to create his story. And he chose He chose to create a different version of the truth, one that would make for better TV, one that creates more dynamic characters, one that I think creates a more dynamic story, because the entire purpose of Ryan Murphy's retelling of this, monsters, who's the real monster in this situation? Is it the boys? Is it the parents? Is it the media? He's telling the story as it unfolded for the public, right? So there are certain things that we see in the show. We see the different versions. We see the kind of mental toll that all this has taken on Eric Menendez. That's the younger sibling. We see the mental toll it takes on them. But then in the later half of the episode, which is all focused on the trial, we see different retellings, and we see people, say that they're, the boys are actors, and how do we know if this is real or not? We see Ryan Murphy create a dynamic show in which it gives people room to argue about what actually happened. And if we didn't know what actually happened, I guess that would be okay. But the problem is that, and I guess if I'm going to talk about this, I should have some objectivity, although it pains me to do it. But actually, no, I don't actually want to, so I'm not going to do it. We know what happened. We've seen the evidence. We've seen the testimonies and things like that. And we've heard from the two people. Now, granted, there are two people in that house, or there were two people in that house who also knew what was going on. We cannot hear from them today, right? But we're hearing from two other people. And I think after so many years, if their stories remain the same, I don't know in what world, in what context, people have the right to still pick them apart. I think even before the resentencing, if they were still standing on the fact that they were abused, I can't imagine people still looking at them and saying, well, it makes me sick. It makes me sick to think about it. Ryan Murphy chose to tell his version of the story. And I think the thing that truly rubbed people the wrong way, well, there's a few things. I've watched the series now 1.5 times. I'm in the middle of watching it with my boyfriend now, but I watched it completely with one of my friends. One, I think the thing that really pissed people off was his cavalier attitude towards it. I believe one of the brothers, I believe it was Eric, said that the show is not telling the truth. It's kind of riddled with lies. And Ryan Murphy's reaction to it was like, well, how could he say that if he's never seen it? And we're shedding light on this, so you can't be upset. And it's like, well, no, because if you are gonna make the story about someone and they're coming out and telling you, oh, hey, by the way, you've kind of captured my narrative incorrectly, and you're going on the defense, oh, honey, that's just not wise. That's just not kind. And that's me putting it lightly. That's disrespectful. Because again, you've chosen to take this person's trauma and make it into your art. And you're not concerned with doing it in a respectful way, which again, if he was concerned with doing it in a respectful way, then that would have been his concern. I feel like I'm talking in circles, but to me, it's very clear that he didn't want to do that. He found parts of the truth to base his story off of, but it seems like to me that Ryan Murphy said, okay, I have my building blocks of the truth, so now I can just go from wherever with this. So that's why I'm going to make this character that I'm creating of Lau Menendez, that's why I'm going to make him this egotistical, narcissistic, angry man who is taunting his brother all the time and will say, he's in the show quoted as saying he'll tell anybody anything. I have the basis of the truth of what happened, so I'm allowed to do this, is what Ryan Murphy seems to be conveying. And it's upsetting. It's upsetting because we all know, I think, how influential the court of public opinion can be. And I do unfortunately think that there are some people still who have maybe only watched this show and they think that they understand the case. And it's unfortunate now that people will conflate Ryan Murphy's creation Nicholas Chavez's portrayal of Lau Menendez as that and not who he really was. I don't know Lau Menendez in real life. You know what I'm saying? But I saw him on the stand. I saw him take the stand. I saw him talk about the trauma that he went through. I saw the reserved nature in him. And I watched the documentary and I'm hearing him talk on the phone about it. And he's still not this person, this person with this big bravado attitude. So that's just like one of the minor, I think that for me, that was like one of the glaring issues with it. Now I think another thing that was actually very frustrating, not frustrating to some, for me personally, I just think unnecessary. One of the biggest things Ryan Murphy included in that was not only the question of Eric Menendez's sexuality, which I do believe that both of the brothers' sexuality came up in their original trial, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But not only that, but again, the media circus of this trial, which I'm going to talk about that in a second as well. The media circus just creating all of these insane narratives about these brothers. Just ideas that there was like a sexual relationship between those two. And Ryan Murphy made sure to include that in the documentary. And I'm not, how do I want to say this? I'm going to keep saying this. If his entire goal was to create a story in which there is dynamics to it that creates a more push and pull between the viewer and what they're watching. Because I feel like Ryan Murphy did not create the show with the intention of you as the viewer being on the side of the Menendez brothers the entire time. Or at least he wanted to create that room for ambiguity. He wanted to be like, okay, you will support them in this episode. Episode 5, where Cooper Koch is, doing this beautifully shot and just like really well thought out episode where it's seen as one constant take, and it's just him with over 40 minutes of dialogue just recounting all of the abuse that he went through. You will be on his side for this. But when I show you this episode where, it was public opinion that they came in and they were dressed in all black and they shot their parents that way, maybe your opinion might change on that. I think if that's what Ryan Murphy was trying to do, that's what he did. It's not right. He shouldn't have told a story that way because it's not fair to them. Ryan Murphy told his version of a story, and I think that as a creative, you need to find within yourself what is more important to you. Is your art more important, or is highlighting an injustice important to you? Which begs the question of, why did you want to make this? I didn't watch his Dahmer series, so I don't know if it was the same thing. But if I'm assuming that if he approached it the same way of like, oh, who is the monster? Or what it seemed like Ryan Murphy was trying to do with the Lyle and Eric Menendez story was show kind of like that hurt people. I kind of felt like his focus was, showing the background of Joseph Menendez and showing the backgrounds of Katie Menendez and stuff. And if his intention is to show that their backgrounds and their upbringings is what made them the monsters that they are, I don't know. I just don't know. I will say like one last thing about the series before I get into the actual case. If you haven't watched the series yet, I think if you are going to watch it, well, one, I think phenomenal acting is done in the series. Like I mentioned, Cooper Koch has a really just pivotal, beautiful episode that I'm so hoping that he wins an Emmy for. I thought it was just so beautifully done. It was very moving. It was very jarring to see, but in a good way. Javier Bardem is in it. Phenomenal actor. Terrifying as Jose Menendez. Just very, very terrifying as Jose Menendez. Chloe Savini's in it. She plays a wonderful Kitty Menendez. Again, very terrifying, very like just unhinged. Nicholas Alexander Chavez plays a version, a fabricated version of Lau Menendez, and he also does a phenomenal job. I think the cast was full of incredible actors. Oh my God, the woman that plays Leslie Abrams, again, I'm going to just keep sounding repetitive, but also a phenomenal actress. And I love the way she played Leslie. I love that woman has like the perfect like nasally voice. The way she says like Dr. Jerome Oziel, like it was just so perfect. The show is good in terms of acting. It's a phenomenal show in terms of acting. In terms of accuracy and how much leeway the actors were given with the characters, I don't know if it's a phenomenal show in that regard. I know that Cooper Koch got to go visit the Menendez brothers in jail with Kim Kardashian. I mean, my girl is prison reformed down. That's one thing you can't take away from her. And I think throughout the way that he approached the character of Eric Menendez and the effort that he put into it, to me, it's very evident that he knew the truth. He saw the character he had to play, and he tried his best to merge the two. And I think that that's ultimately the most respectful thing he could do. I will not comment on what other people on the show did. That's a whole other thing. I just would like to highlight the fact that I think that Cooper really tried his best to do right by their story, because he did his research and he spent a lot of time with it. Phenomenal actor. Love him. Things that interested me about the Menendez brothers case. Like I said, I'd known about it for a little bit, but I think contextually, I think what is more important, I think, is what happened around that case, which is why I think it was so unfair what happened. I did not know that the same judge that presided over the Rodney King case is the same judge that presided over the Menendez brothers case. And you might be wondering, Shamira, how is that significant? Oh, bitch, the writing's on the wall and I'm about to tell you. So the judge that oversaw the Rodney King case, which another example of by far one of the worst, not the worst, but I would say it's definitely up there for one of the worst miscarries of justice. Like there's a reason that the city of LA rioted for the days after that trial, because I've never seen justice get I have, but to see justice get miscarried out like that in such a in your face, a blatantly racist kind of way, and then that same judge is going to oversee this case, it don't make no sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. And now that I'm thinking about it, how come that judge wasn't disbarred? I don't know how any of that stuff works, but I just kind of feel like if my verdict is the root cause of what, and I guess it's not his verdict because the jury, I guess it's technically the jury's verdict, but like, can the judge not intervene and be like, yeah, no, I'm sorry, y'all gonna have to go back and think about this because they're not walking out of here. So I don't know. But contextually, right? Same judge who did the Rodney King case, a huge miscarriage of justice. The Menendez brothers, after their first trial was a hung jury, their second trial is about to happen, but then the O.J. Simpson stuff happens. Some people look at that as another miscarriage of justice. The city of LA at the time was losing. They lost 2 battles. Well, yes, technically, yeah, they lost 2 battles. They lost one battle by the people, which is when all those riots happened, and they lost another battle legally when O.J. Simpson was dismissed of all charges and he was found not guilty. I'm not taking away from what happened in the Menendez brothers case. And in fact, the brothers have said multiple times they don't want their crimes to be diminished or like looked over or anything like that. But contextually, you have them happening. They are sandwiched right in between the most embarrassing moments for the city of Los Angeles. Do you think that they were going to let these boys walk away regardless of what the situation was? And I'm being honest. I'm not trying to be like tinfoil hat on, got newspaper on the windows, conspiracy theory person. I'm not trying to be that. I'm asking you to think about this objectively. I'm going to repeat it again. The city of LA, because of the court's decision, just got their whole shit burnt down because of these riots, because black people said there's no way that you didn't find these cops guilty. Oh, okay, we'll show you something. You got the country split down the middle over this OJ trial. They were not about to let these half Cuban, half white, two rich, privileged boys walk away from this, no matter how dark of an abuse that they described. They were not going to let them get away with it because it was such a polarizing thing. And they said, we need to clean up our image. So I don't believe that they had a fair trial in that regard. I think that this was an opportunity for the city of LA, the powers that be at that time, the people in charge. It was a chance for them to clean up their image, get a notch on their belt after taking 2 L's back to back, basically, and they took it. So that's the first reason I think that this trial was really unfair. Another reason, this was the court. I mean, this was the peak example of public opinion. The Menendez trial is what basically started court TV. So this was a media circus from the jump. In the documentary that's on Netflix right now, I believe it's just called the Menendez brother documentary. Let me actually look up the title of it so I'm not wrong. Oh, yep. Yeah, so the Netflix documentary on Netflix, it's just called the Menendez brothers. You can feel free to look it up. But in that documentary, Lyle Menendez, he was the first arrested of the brothers, and he talks about how had they just called him and said, we would like for you to come in for questioning, he would have just gone and turned himself in. From the second that they realized that this was going to be a high-profile case, everything about this case was performative in the sense that it was all done for the cameras. Even the defense attorney even the prosecution, which this woman in this documentary was by far the most insufferable bitch I've ever heard from in my life. And I notice I'm biased because clearly I'm a very big supporter of the Menendez brothers, but this woman was just insufferable in this documentary. Just truly a nasty woman. The way she still talks about the case and the way that she kind of taunts the boys, the boys, now men in this situation, is just disgusting. Just such a lack of professionalism. I don't really know what professionalism looks like in the legal world, but it's not her. Watching her was by far just terrible. She was just such an insufferable wench in this documentary. But what was I saying? Yeah, it was a media circus. Even this lady, as insufferable as she was she, she said the first day she walks to court and she's seeing all these cameras and stuff, she threw up because she did not realize how big this was going to be. This was a big deal. And there was just so much leading up to it. There was so much information out there. One of the jurors in the documentary admitted that obviously, even though they tell you don't read anything about the case, she read everything about the case. She took in all the media about it. It was such a high profile case. I imagine that jury selection would be really difficult at that time to not find anyone. I mean, I'm sure they did find some people who knew nothing about it, but this case was everywhere. Again, that public fodder, people are going to do what they can, even though the public opinion should not, quote unquote, should not sway what happens in the courtroom. We all know what can happen. That's another factor. I think the third thing, and in my mind, one of the most damning things that affected this trial from being conducted in a fair way is the fact that at the time that it happened, we as a society were not willing to accept that boys who looked like them and came from a privileged background could ever be seen as victims. People struggled with the idea that they could be victims so bad to the point where they were being made fun of on every single, everywhere. They were a dinner table conversation. They were an SNL skit. They were a Jay Leno, opening bit. people, I forget the actress, but she went on David Letterman, and she's just so cavalierly talking about like, oh, those boys are gonna fry. And that simply could not happen today. There could not be a high profile case where there are two boys talking about the sexual assault that they faced throughout their entire lives. And SNL actually, I don't know what they would do. SNL has done some really shifty and shady things. So I won't even touch that one with the 10-foot pole. But the idea that their pain was, and oh God, I remember when I first watched the Lifetime documentary back in 2017, and I was just starting to learn about the case. A lot of the things that I saw online were reasons as to why people shouldn't believe them. I remember watching, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a video or something, but I remember I watched something that highlighted the fact, or highlighted that Eric Menendez had taken acting classes, and you could see when they would be crying on and off throughout the trial, and you could see like when they would get caught in lies and stuff. And that was the evidence that I saw at the beginning. And despite all of that, I still believe them. So I don't know what some of y'all's problems is. I don't know. There are certain synapses in my brain that have clicked to where I empathize towards victims more often than not. Some of y'all aren't there yet. I get it. That's fine. Not really, but whatever. But at that time, society was not ready to accept that two boys that looked like them, that had access like them, that had privilege like them, that had opportunities like them, could ever be abused. And that's evidenced in the fact that with that first trial, when you watch this documentary on Netflix, if you do watch it, they speak to about two of the jurors. And both of them are women, and one of them she says something like, when we were deliberating, she said her worst nightmare came true. They raised hands to see who thought that they were guilty and who thought they were not guilty. And all of the men that were on that jury said they were not guilty. Or no, all the men on that jury said that they were guilty because they could not understand, they could not fathom the idea that two men were being abused by their father. That to me, I think that's one of the hardest things I think for me to accept about this case is that, and again, I'm not going to sit up here and say that what they did was right. Well, I'm not going to say it. I have a lot of feelings about it, but that's not what I'm here to say. It breaks my heart that simply because we as a society were not brought around to the idea yet that a victim can be a victim, and it doesn't matter who they are or what they look like, and an abuser can be an abuser, and it doesn't matter the relationship to the victim. It breaks my heart so much that we were so unwilling to accept that we made up this idea, we made up this entire motive for these boys that truly makes no sense in my mind, because everyone's like, the public opinion, and even now to this day, there are tons of people who still don't believe that they should be let out free because they think the boys murdered their parents for that money. The money was already going to be theirs. They were the sole benefactors of the estate of their parents. The money was always going to be theirs. They didn't have to kill their parents to do it. They didn't have to kill their parents to get the money. They were always going to get the money regardless. It was not about that. It was about something much deeper and darker than that. One of the things for me that I keep hearing a lot of people bring up is like, well, why didn't they run away and all this stuff? And again, I mean, the only reason people are saying that is because these are two rich kids. Had these been, and it's unfortunate that you have to like shape the narrative so much so that people can, I truly just think people would not allow themselves to feel sorry for them. Again, these are two rich boys who look like them. They have privilege, they have access. How could they not just run away? And I need people to understand that their father was a very powerful person. His family was a big deal when they lived back in Cuba, and he was a big deal when he came to America. He made a name for himself. He knew people. He had connections. These are his kids. They can't exactly just go somewhere and not be recognized. Jose Menendez did his job as far as putting out his reach in everyone. When Eric Menendez started robbing people's houses, right? And he had to do court-mandated therapy, their dad paid off a therapist to tell him everything that they said. So there was never any moments of privacy. There was never any moments where they truly felt like they were alone. Jose Menendez was donating tons of money to Princeton, where his son Lyle went. There was never a moment where they felt like they could be alone. When Eric wanted to go to Berkeley to finally get out of his house because he had been abused from ages 6 to 18, and he wanted to go to Berkeley to go to college, and his dad said, no, you're going to UCLA and you're living at home. Does that sound like someone who could run away? Does that sound like someone who had a chance of getting out of that house? No. I understand the legal thing because everyone will say, oh, why didn't they go to the police? I understand legally what that means when they make the decision to not go to the police. I understand what that means legally. But why as we as a society, why have we not learned? Why have we not moved past like, oh, logically you'd have to go to the police? Why do we not factor in fear and control? The fear and control that an abuser can have and instill on their victims. Why have we not gotten there to understand that part yet? The judge, to me, was just... He's a bonehead. I don't know. I didn't like him. I just be honest, I didn't like him. Throughout the documentary, they would like show his face during certain parts of the trial. He was not being impartial at all. Like his facial expressions when Lyle takes a stand for the first time and he tells what had happened. His face, this judge's face, he acted like he was listening to hot gossip. I hated him. I just hated his ass. In the first trial, the defense comes up with the defense. That I said that weirdly, but you know what I'm trying to say. Their thing is the boys did it out of self-defense. The prosecution argues that they were not in any imminent danger, so it couldn't have been out of self-defense. Legally, I understand what that means. To my understanding, prosecution is saying that if at the moment that they shot their parents, if there was not any clear and imminent danger, then you cannot claim self-defense. That makes sense on paper. However, in the documentary, in the situation that Eric describes that moment in, how I understood it, is that there was a argument that happened. Kitty and Jose went into the family room or the TV room or whatever the case may be, the den. He describes it as they went into that den and he was so sure that if he and Lyle did not come back down and do what they did, that they were going to be the ones that died that night. To me, that is fear. That is a clear and imminent danger. I understand the legal terms of it, but I'm also understanding and more in agreement with the emotional side of it. And I think one of the things I remember the most from the SNL skit, which I've never seen the whole thing. I truly, and I'm not being dramatic, I can't stomach to watch that full thing. It's just, I don't think everything needs to be a comedy bit. I understand at the time everyone thought it was so foolish, this whole thing, but even I can't imagine how they haven't put out an apology for that, which I guess in some aspects maybe people can't be apologetic for their jokes. But if you have Seth MacFarlane, who apologizes still sometimes for like some of the Family Guy jokes, I think you can apologize for a skit that was beyond insensitive. Like, and that's the thing. I don't even think it was funny enough for it to be like, it's insensitive, but it's funny. It wasn't funny. You mocked two boys for their trauma. These are two victims of assault that you made an entire skit about SNL. Like, that's really shitty. And that's me putting it lightly. God, what was I going to say? I forgot. Oh, a lot of the times, a lot of the jokes that come from it are people making fun of the fact that Eric and Lyle would still talk about their parents in such a high regard. And people would say, well, if they were such good parents, how could you do this? And all this stuff. And I don't think people understand, again, the emotional toll that an abuser can have on a victim. And I do want to clarify this. I do want to say this, that I'm speaking purely from a place of empathy. I have not experienced anything like this before. And so I don't want to make it seem like I'm speaking from a place of experience. I'm just speaking from a place of empathy. I know people that have experienced different forms of abuse, and I've read a lot of stories about people. And I just have truly become so severely empathetic towards that situation. I do want to I felt like that was necessary to clarify. When Eric talks about the abuse that he faced at the hands of his dad, I think one of the most heartbreaking and I think one of the most difficult things for me to hear from him was to say that those were the times, not all the time, but there were some moments within that abuse where he felt like that was the only time that his dad cared about him. And that was the only time he felt close to his dad. Even after he knew that his mom knew, even after they had both faced terrible forms of abuse from not just their dad, but also from their mom, they still cared for her. They still wanted to be loved by her. They wanted to be loved by both of them. And to me, there's so many things about their case that show me that they are truly victims. But I do feel like the fact that they are so remorseful, and the fact that they do miss their parents, and the fact that they would still talk about them in high regard, and the fact that they were so reluctant. Because mind you, when they first got arrested, they did not have a plan of what they were going to use as their defense. They were very reluctant to talk about what had happened. And the only reason that any of the abuse came to light is because Lyle Menendez wrote Eric Menendez, I want to say 17 pages, but that feels long, but I also feel like that might be right. So I would just say a lengthy letter. Lyle wrote Eric a lengthy letter in which he vaguely brought up the things that only they know that have happened in that house. Eric was supposed to destroy that letter. He didn't do it. Their cells were raided. That letter was found. And that was what opened up the not the investigation, but that is what helped both of their defense teams hire professionals to look further into the abuse. So mind you, these boys have just done this. They've done this. They understand public perception of them is not liked at the moment. They can only imagine that the worst things are going to happen to them, both legally and probably while they're in jail, and they still will not tell. To me, I just don't understand how someone can hear that and not understand that these boys were scared. They were terrified. I don't understand. I truly, it boggles my mind. There are just so many people, I think, in general, too, that just did not have their best interest at heart. Going back to Dr. Jerome Oziel. Sorry, I love the way that the actor, I want to say her name is Ari Gaynor. She's the one that plays Leslie in Ryan Murphy's Monsters. She just does a phenomenal job. I love her voice. Jerome Oziel. a therapist like Jerome Oziel, who one, broke patient-doctor confidentiality. Then when Eric came to him because he was in pure misery and agony over what had happened, his first thought was to go ahead and, oh, now y'all just say into this voice, this recording what y'all did so I can have this from my records. Blackmailing. The whole thing to me is just, they didn't get a fair trial. The first one maybe was fair. It was, in comparison, more fair than the second one. The second one came right after the OJ thing. There was not a chance in hell. There was also just a lot of evidence that couldn't be used, I think, in the second trial. I also know that truly neither of the boys really testified in the second one. I think both out of fatigue, truly. I just watched a documentary literally today, the same day that I'm filming this, so it's all kind of fresh in my mind, but I haven't really processed it. But it's so hard to think about how long they've been in jail. And then when they got separated, that to me is so heartbreaking. And I think if you have a sibling, wait, no, this is actually the part that makes me emotional. I've been wondering if I was going to cry this whole time. I thought I was doing pretty well, but I think this was the thing. I think this is the thing that actually made me emotional a few weeks ago, because they were the only two people. Well, they were 2 out of the 4 people that knew the full extent of what was happening. So now 4 goes down to 2. So now it's just 2 people that wholeheartedly know what the other person has gone through, what they're thinking, what they're feeling at the time. And they get separated. In the show, in Ryan Murphy's show, they get separated because this letter that Lyle wrote to Eric, again, this is Ryan Murphy's story, it detailed an escape plan. So that was the reason they got separated in the show. In real life, I'm still unsure why they got separated, and I can't help but think it was just a final F you to the brothers and a final, we're going to do right by the city of LA. I truly can't think of another reason why they would have gotten separated. And they were separated for 18 years. And they had done an interview with Barbara Walters. And Barbara, I think she must have asked them, not do you guys want to be separated, but what would that feel like? And you could feel that they don't want to be separated. Eric says, he basically says we've had everything else taken away from us. I can't imagine them taking away my brother from me. And then they get separated. That's the literal only other person in this whole world that knows what you've been through. And they just take him away. And they were separated for 18 years. 18 years is a long time for anything. 18 years is an entire life for some people. 18 years is a long time. They were finally reunited, and they have been reunited, I believe, since 2018. I think they've been together. I'm very happy for that. There's no way in hell that, again, the 2 people that have gone through what they've been through should have ever been separated like that. Eric went on a hunger strike because of that. Their plea deals have been denied throughout the years, but finally, there's been some remorse felt. There's been something that shifted, and their case is being looked at again. Because now in 2024, we understand, 1, men can be victims. Men can be victims of sexual assault. People of privilege can be victims of sexual assault. The family members can be the ones doing the sexual assault. We have so much more of an understanding, and if anything else, I know people shit on 2024 a lot, but if anything, I'm so glad that our tolerance and our respect for victims is something that has improved drastically. We still have a ton of ways to go. Like, we still have a lot of work that needs to be done with that. But I'm so happy that we've gotten to a place now where, you know, I can talk to a coworker and say, oh, hey, do you know about the Menendez brothers? And they can say, oh, well, weren't they the kids that killed their parents? And I'm like, yes, but do you know the full story? And then when I tell them what I know to be true, which is all the facts that have been put out there, then it's like, oh, I didn't know that. Damn, they're still locked up? Yeah, isn't that kind of fucked up? There's a lot of details that were not out there, but like are in documentation, else, you know, other places online. But there's still a lot of research out there. I strongly urge you, if you're at all interested in this case, or, you know, just kind of learning more of like the legal side of things, the mental health side of things, the psychology side of things, it's all out there. My ice maker just scared the bejesus out of me. Oh my God. I need to turn that off before I go to bed because that just scared me. It's so loud. I don't like it. Now, it's just like fully distracted me. There is a possibility the Menendez brothers could be home by Christmas. I keep telling people that if they get out, I'm throwing something on the grill. I'm joking. I don't have a grill. But if they do get out, and I'm manifesting that they do, I'm hoping and praying that they do, I think to be sentenced to jail, life without parole, legally, them being sentenced to life without parole, and they were both under 26, that's one of the reasons that they're being looked at for resentencing. But also because there's been other evidence submitted. There was a letter that was found from, I want to say it was Eric, but I don't know which one of the brothers it was, but there was a letter from one of the brothers to a cousin that detailed that the abuse was still happening. So something else has been resubmitted. And I don't know if this was actual evidence submitted. I don't think it was evidence, because I feel like by now I would have known a lot more about this, whereas I know the other two things I know more about. It is alleged that Jose Menendez, he signed the boy band Menudo back in the day. It is alleged that he drugged and sexually assaulted one of the members of that band as well. If that is evidence, if that is something that is true, that is other compounding evidence. And you know what? Actually, going back really quick, the defense found many people to talk about different moments in which Jose and or Kitty physically abused or embarrassed these kids. Prosecution said that they couldn't find a single person to say something nice about Jose Menendez. Now, what the fuck does that tell you, bitch? I'm telling y'all right now, I need y'all to watch the documentary just to see how insufferable this lady was. I'm telling you, she was the most unpleasant person I think I've ever seen in a documentary. It was like she still has a chip on her shoulder about the fact that she was not able to be on the team that found them guilty. She has a chip on her shoulder that the case is being relooked at. Like, she's just such a nasty, nasty woman. Like I was saying, their case is being relooked at right now. I'm praying and manifesting that they are able to see freedom. Since they've been in jail, they have only done things to better themselves. Eric has taken up art, and he's phenomenal at it. One of the jurors in a documentary said that her and Eric, they would write letters back and forth periodically, and he sent her the most beautiful oil painting I've ever seen. It was stunning. So he's really good at art. Lyle Menendez has done a lot of good things as far as like getting his, continuing his education in college. They've been a part of some some clean water initiatives. And there's this one guy I keep seeing on TikTok who talks about like he was arrested at the same time, or he was in the same jail as Lyle. And he's done a few radio interviews talking about how much of a positive influence Lyle Menendez is on him and things like that. And to me, what that shows is that these boys went into jail knowing that they were going to be in there for life and knowing that they were never going to have a chance to advocate for themselves to get back out. They could have become terrible versions of themselves. They could have killed themselves in jail. If I'm being honest, they could have. but they have both chosen to go on and create lives for themselves inside of jail where they can help others advocate for themselves. And they've also gone on to have resemblances of relationships outside of jail, or resemblances of normal relationships. Eric has a kid. I think Lyle has a kid. I might be wrong on that. But they are both married. Like, these are people who, despite all of their odds and despite everything that life has thrown at them, they're still trying to do better. How can you not reevaluate someone's sentence after that? And I understand there are a bunch of legal things that I don't get. I understand that. But I just think we need to be more objective about this stuff. Subjective, objective, I don't actually know the difference sometimes. But how can you look at two people who were given life in jail with everything that they poured out on those stands? You look at them, you gave them life in jail, and they, despite all odds, have persevered and have only ever done good things. I don't see how it's fair or just for them to continue in jail with no parole. So they have a chance. They have a chance. Resentencing could look like a lot of different things. I'm not a legal expert, but all the information is out there. I think the best case scenario is that, like, if everything gets re-examined and it's decided, like, okay, we're going to re-sentence them and they're going to get a lesser murder charge. And, oh, would you look at that? They've already served enough time for that lesser murder charge. They can be out by this date. That's the best case scenario. And I'm hoping that for them, the system has to work for somebody, you know? It's got to work for someone. It has to work for victims of some crime. It can't keep not working for victims. That's what the legal system is for. That's who the legal system is supposed to help, right? Victims. So, yeah. I'm very pro Menendez brothers over here, and I'm very pro victims. I always just want to say that this podcast and this platform is always a safe place for victims. My DMs are always open. I'm telling you guys, like, I feel like I'm a very unserious person, but I do mean this very seriously and very, like, wholeheartedly, is that, like, this is a safe space, and I'm here as a resource. I'm here as a confidant. I'm here as all that stuff, but more importantly, I'm sometimes if you just want a listening ear too, I think that's okay as well. Oh, you guys, thank you all so much for hanging out with me for what has felt like I've been filming for forever. It's past my bedtime. I don't even want to look at the time right now. Oh, you guys, it's late and I have to go into work tomorrow. Oh, that's just phenomenal. Oh, this is going to be great. This is going to be phenomenal for me. Anyway, you guys, thank you all so much for listening. I wish you the best out there. I'll give you a big hug. Hope you can feel this. I'm giving you a big, nice, tight hug. I love you very much. Please stay safe out there. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to one another. Believe victims the first time. And I'll see you next time.
Realer than
Bye.
real.